tonight I have a question. We've kind of been on this thing. Like I did not really anticipate doing this many messages per se about these questions, but they just like keep speaking to me. And I've got some good feedback from y'all about some of these messages. And so tonight we're going to talk about this question, and it's, can I live a good life without God? Can I live a good life without God? There's a lot of people. So what I've been encouraging you guys to do is to share your faith with your friends and to not be ashamed of the faith that God has put inside of you, the choices that you have made. And this here is another question that people will ask. They'll say, hey, I'm a pretty good person. Like I live a good life. Why do I need Jesus? Or why do I even need God? You know, atheists in that like vein of philosophy will be like the idea of God, that God isn't even real and that we don't need him, and that people just lean on the concept or the idea of God when the actuality of God isn't necessary for this thing, for living a good life. You know, naturally, I think sometimes we tend to judge other people, right? But we excuse ourselves. Like we'll point our finger towards our teachers and our parents and the other people in our lives that maybe have been harsh towards us, or, you know, whatever. Maybe even our friends or other groups or people that we don't agree with, and we'll judge them harshly. But when it comes to ourselves, we excuse ourselves and show ourselves an excessive amount of mercy. And if you're hard on yourself, I was more hard on myself. I remember turning 18 and just being like, man, I'm not a good person. Like, I am just not a good person. I wish I was better. I wish I had done better for my family. I wish I had done better for my friend group. I wish I had just been a better person. But instead, I feel like I just caused more issues in people's lives. And my problems, you know, I was kind of hard on myself. That's where I fell. And in that place, I think it's really easy to do one of two things. Either you're going to become excessively hard on yourself and depressed. That was the road that I walked. Or you're going to excuse yourself and live any way that you want, and you're likely going to become angry. All right? That's just my assessment of it, is that you're going to fall, you know, towards one side or the other, where you either excuse yourself and your anger is going to come because other people let down your expectations, because other things aren't working out the way that you wanted them. Because here's this idea. What is a good life? The question is, can I live a good life without God? Can I be a good person and just not have God in my life? And, you know, Here's another thing that I'll say early on in my faith, and I know some of you guys are like, you're in love with Jesus. Like, you're sold out. You're like, I love Jesus. And even questions like this, they frustrate you. They frustrate you in the sense of you're like, nope, I can't live a good life. Nobody can live a good life without God, because God alone is good. I encourage you guys to ask these questions to God, to really ask the questions. And some of you might look at a question like this and you're like, yeah, I absolutely can. I don't need God in my life. I encourage both sides of that equation. If that's kind of like wherever your heart is at in the matter, like wherever your heart is at, to be honest and honestly ask the question and honestly look at the details. Because these are the types of conversations, again, that I've been kind of presenting these topics the past few weeks. These are the types of conversations that are really hard to have. And if we can, like the first time I talked about these things, if we can be humble, and we can not assume that we know everything about everything. And if we can actually humble ourselves and ask questions and like listen to what other people have to say, then we're gonna heal as a people, and we're gonna start to learn and understand. There is so much division in our country. There is so much division in homes. There is so much division. What are you gonna do to bring about unity? Are you gonna contend for unity? Do you want unity? Did you even care for unity in the body? Because Jesus is calling us to be one, that we would be united, and that love would reign supreme over all things. That's what God is calling us to love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. So when we ask this question, what is a good life? All right, I honestly, like, what is a good life to you guys? When you think about what a good life is, does anybody want to give me an example of what a good life is? Nobody? Usually we get a little bit. Go ahead, Asher. A good life is following God and spreading his word. All right, go ahead, Benaiah. Having a wife and kids. Yep, I like that. I have a wife. I have kids. It's pretty good. I like it. Go ahead, Isla. Having Jesus and having the joy of the Lord. The joy. I love the joy. Anybody else? Yeah? Being happy and not trying to be negative all the time, or trying not to be negative all the time. Yep. Anybody else with what is a good life? Go ahead. Yep. Having good people that surround you. Yep, I like that. Yeah. Debt free. That's a good life. Yeah. Yeah, like, well, I'll even say to get the things that you want to get. Whether it's like, the nice car or like the clothes that you want, and like not having to like just be stressed out all the time, and be able to have the things that you want, the house, the family, the kids, or whatever. Go ahead, Asher. Yep, not worrying to have to pay bills and so forth. Okay, here's another question. Are you guaranteed a good life? What if you work really hard and do everything right? Are you guaranteed a good life? You know what kind of bothers me is that there are people who are born into slavery, they are abused, and they die in slavery. I don't know about you, but it bothers me that they didn't even get a chance at a good life. I think it's really easy in this day and age. In America, you'll hear people say it, this is a blessed country, and the freedoms that you have were fought for. They were bled over, the freedoms that you now possess. Because in times past, people didn't have the freedoms that you have to think like you want to think, to say what you want to say. There are things happening in the world right now that people are experiencing, and some of you guys know some of the things that are happening around the world. Even, in Nigeria is one I'm not even really going to touch on. But there are horrific things happening in the world. And they didn't choose that. They didn't get a chance at the good life, right? And so how can we justify human existence? And we've already talked about, is God good? And the last thing that we came to is, without the resurrection, there's a lot of people here tonight that weren't there. Without the resurrection, without a life after death, God is not just and God is not good, right? The resurrection and existence after death is so important to our belief system, because if there is no existence after death and we just go into nothingness, as some people believe for whatever reason why they believe it. But if that's true, then if there even is a God, he is definitely not good or just, because look at what we experience on this side of heaven, right? Sometimes people don't experience justice. They don't have a good life. So when we ask, can you live a good life without God? It's an interesting question to me, because a lot of people want to live their lives without God in it. Whether God is real or not real, they just want to live their lives, and they want to try to be good. They want to have a good life. They want to work hard and try to get that good life that they want. But in the end of the day, this is kind of a messed up question. Can I live a good life without God? Is life good without God? Is life good without God? Because I would say that big picture, not your life individually, but big picture, life is not good without God. If God does not exist, life is not good. Life is just a messed up experience that we're all experiencing. And people can have their different philosophies about this or about that, but I'll tell you, when I was 18 years old and I came to like adulthood, manhood, if you will, I remember looking around and being like, this is just messed up. I don't know if you've come to that conclusion, or maybe you're a little bit sheltered and you've kind of had a good life so far in some sense of the word. But when I grew up into adulthood and looked around, I was like, this is just messed up. I had no God. I had no concept of divinity or life after death or anything like that. All I had was the experiences that I had experienced and what I had walked through. And when I got to adulthood, I was like, so what now? I'm just supposed to enslave myself to the dollar bill and work and work and work and work and work? To what end? Like, I don't have joy. I don't have peace. This is all just frustrating and weird. And that was my perception. And then I look in the mirror and I'm like, I'm not a good person. Like, I wanted to be. I wanted to do things right, but I'm not a good person. So what good am I even bringing to the world? Like, what do I even have to offer? And this is what put me into that spiral depression. Can you have a good life without God? I'll tell you this, all right? I did not have a good life without God. And I came from a nice family. Mom and dad loved me. I grew up basically doing whatever I wanted to do. We had, loose rules, and I had privilege and everything like that. I came from a good home, good family, and I had everything that I could want. Got accepted to college with scholarships because I did well in school, but I did not have peace. I did not have peace. Can you live a good life without God? You have heard it said, this is out of Matthew. He says, this is Jesus talking. You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he makes his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and he sends rain on the just and on the unjust. Sometimes you'll watch evil people in this world do evil things, and they will live pleasurable lives. They will live nice lives, even though they're wicked, evil, twisted, bad people. You will see it. You will perceive it if you haven't perceived it already. You will see that they will have a nice life. And what we need to understand, that there is something that's deeper than what we experience on the surface. And if it doesn't, because it bothers me. I don't know if it bothers you guys like it bothers me, but it bothers me when I see evil people doing evil things and just living these carefree, nice lives. It's frustrating to me. And yet, we're caught here in the middle. My question for you, here's another question, is would you rather have purpose or pleasure? Would you rather have purpose or pleasure? And pleasure being having the wife and kids, the family, the dog, the white picket fence, perhaps, or maybe living a wild life, going and surfing in locations all over the world and just exploring nature and exploring whatever, having that job that you just find fulfillment in and you love and you make a lot of money and you do really well and you help people and you're an entrepreneur and you be a good person. Would you rather have the enjoyment of the pleasure of living a pleasurable life, or would you rather have purpose to your life? And you can fall in either extreme, and you could also say, I want a combination of both. And what my heart is for you guys today is both of these things, pleasure and purpose, are found in God. And I will challenge you to try to find them somewhere else. You seek with your whole heart. If you seek with your whole heart, you will surely find some form of truth. God says, if you seek me with your whole heart, you will find me, if you seek the Lord. If you seek after the pleasures of life, as Solomon did, you will find some things. You will find some truth. It might not be good. It might not be the things that you want to find, but you will find some truth in some things. And you may have to learn some lessons that way by seeking after whatever things that you're seeking after. But what I'm telling you is, if you want to find pleasure and joy in your life, and you want to find purpose in your life, then seek after God, because he has both those things. So if people ask you that question, can I live a good life without God? It's a great topic of conversation for you to share what's on your heart, what you've experienced, and the joy that you have found inside God, if you found it. And if you haven't found it, I just encourage you to be honest and seek after him. Here's just a few scriptures about joy. It says in Psalm 16, David says, you make known to me the path of life. In your presence, there is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore. In Psalms 37:4, he says, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. This one is really what hits home for me the most, is John chapter 14, when he says, peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. The peace that we get from God is not like the pleasures of this world. It's like a deep-rooted internal peace that even when you face tribulation, even when you face like trials and hard things, tribulation is kind of a weird word, perhaps, but even when you face those things, there's a peace that remains on the inside of you. And that's what Jesus has to offer you. That's what Jesus has to offer you. And there's only one way to get it, and it's to acknowledge who he is and who you are. And that's to say that I'm a sinner, I am somebody who falls short, and Jesus Christ is the living God who died on the cross for my sins, paying the price so that me and God are good. The price was paid for you. A debt was paid for you. And then to say that he is the Lord of my life, that I acknowledge that he is the Lord, and I believe in my heart that he not only paid that price, but that he rose from the dead. If you do that thing, then the peace of God is promised to you. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to face stressful situations. It doesn't mean that you're not going to struggle and have hard things. But what it means is that there is a peace that surpasses our understanding that'll guard your heart and mind and live on the inside. And some of you guys have known this maybe since you were young. Maybe you've accepted Jesus. Maybe you've been baptized. I believed in Jesus and confessed Jesus as the Lord of my life 16 years ago now. 16 years. And that peace, the peace of God that has come upon me and dwells inside me has never left me. And I was lying on my bed that night, staring up at the ceiling saying, God, if this is real, I could do anything. If this is real, what I'm experiencing, when I felt my guilt and my shame lift off of me and the peace of God come and fill me from the inside out, if this is real and if this never leaves me, I could do anything. You could stand me up in front of people with a gun to my head saying, hey, do you believe in Jesus? With this stuff is happening. And if I would say, yes, I do, I cannot not confess it. Like I believe that he is God. I believe that he rose from the dead. If that peace was inside me. If I didn't have that peace, I'd probably be like some kind of worm of a man who would run away and hide, who would just flee from, I'm not brave, I'm not like good on my own accord. But you put that peace inside of me and I could jump over a mountain. That's how it feels. I feel like I could just walk on water. That's how it feels. That's how the peace of God feels inside. And there's only one way. There's only one way to walk in it. And that's to bow the knee and accept Jesus as the Lord of your life. And in this season of your life, we've got kids here in sixth grade, and we got young men and women who are about to graduate high school and walk out into adulthood. And it doesn't matter where you're at, you cannot live off your parents' faith. You can't live off the faith of a youth group and just a community. You've got to own it. It's got to belong to you. It's got to be your decision. You have to make the decision, even now, how you're going to live your life and what kind of person you're going to be. And whether you're gonna walk with God or whether you're gonna walk without God. And the thing that I'm professing to you guys is that if you want a good life, if you want a good life that's full of purpose and meaning and truth, then give it to Jesus. For if you take up your cross and follow him, we're jumping. That's the last one, but I'm gonna hit that. Matthew chapter 16, Jesus told his disciples, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? Being led by the Spirit is a choice. You can pray. You can talk to God. He will talk to you. And it might not be some booming audible voice. It could just be years of patience, years of reading the Bible and doing what you know to be right. There's a lot of ways that God could speak to you through his word and through his truth. Or it might be like me, I have heard the voice of God inside of my head. And when I pray spiritual things at spiritual times, I feel guided by an unseen force that is within me. That's the Holy Spirit. It's God. If you invite it into your heart, you can experience that too, and you can be led by the Spirit. And what that means to have a laid down life is that you're not doing everything because it's on your own ambitions to become somebody, but you're doing whatever the Spirit is calling you to do. You were created on purpose for a purpose. There is a purpose. The one who made you, right? The potter, the artist who created you, he has a plan for you. But you have a choice. You can go your own way and have your fun, or you could submit your life to God and see the path and the plan that he has for you. Because in that plan, I'm telling you, that purpose is the thing that will fulfill you and will strengthen you for this life that we're called to live. So I like this. This is actually written in 1647. There's this thing called the catechisms, and basically all these church people got together early on in the faith and like throughout the faith, answering basic questions about the faith so that they could defend it and understand just positions. And there's this question asked, what is the chief end of man? What is the purpose of life? What is the purpose of every single one of our lives? And this is what is said. It says, man's chief end is to glorify God and to enjoy him forever. There is pleasure and there is purpose. Your purpose in life is to glorify God. That means the one that made you has a plan. And the only way for you to know it and understand it is for you to bow the knee, acknowledge him as the Lord of your life, and to walk in faith, trusting that even though you make a plan, the Lord is directing your steps and putting your trust and in your hope into God. That is the way to glorify him, and that's what he has created you for. And the other half of it is to enjoy him forever. And that peace and the joy of the Lord that I have experienced is not just for me. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I was miserable and broken and in that place. And perhaps some of you have to walk your own road and get to that point where you too are miserable and you find yourself crying out for God. Perhaps. Or perhaps you could take stock, perhaps now you could ask those questions and press in and wonder, God, maybe there's something more. And if you take it seriously now, I'm telling you, there could be an answer. God could give you that answer and change your life forever. If we could have the worship team come back up, we're gonna vamp on that canvas and clay. And I wanna give you guys an opportunity to respond as we do that. And I'm gonna share this other verse as well. I have the wrong verse on here. This is actually James chapter 1, not John 14. But it says this, it says, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. Let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. It's a special kind of joy when you learn to count the challenges and hard things in your life as joy. It's different than fleeting happiness. It's not like the, oh yay, like I got what I wanted on Christmas type of joy. It's a different type of joy. It's a powerful joy that rises up within you and empowers you to live a full life, that when you encounter a trial, you're excited about the trial because you know that God through you is going to overcome every trial. And when you start to feel the pressure and when you start to feel the hard things, you count it joy because you realize in this life it is a blessed joy for us to be able to stand steadfast in hard things. Some of you guys are walking through some hard things right now. And I just want you to know that there is hope, that there is peace, and that if you stand steadfast through your hard trial, there is a reward on the other side of it. And part of that reward is yourself becoming stronger, being able to endure more trials. This isn't a time for you to throw your love and your care to the side because we know in the end, the love of many will grow cold. This is a time for you to press into God and to the things that you trust and allow him to change your heart and mind so that you can overcome these trials and be full of joy and peace and purpose as you endeavor in this road of life. And some of you guys, man, this one just hits. Some of you guys you're able, you have the Spirit, you're in a good place, but you're lazy. You're lazy. And the thing is that it matters. I've prayed this prayer so often in my life as I get down on my knees and I'll be like, Lord, I need you right now more than ever before in my life. I need you right now, and I recognize that this moment and this prayer and this time is so important that I don't slack off and go to sleep, but that I press in and allow you to do the work that you're trying to do. I get it that it's important. And some of you guys, you're in a good place. You understand God. You know the word, you know those things, but instead of pressing in and recognizing that right now is an important time, you're going to sleep. You're going to sleep on your prayers and you're letting God be God and you're staying in your place, not doing the work that God has destined you to do. There is a blessing if you're willing to stand steadfast. There is a blessing if you're willing to press in, even when you're comfortable, even when everything's good, if you're willing to put your heart out there and press into prayer. There is so much need in the community right now. There's so much need in your schools. And I just want to encourage you to not push it to the side, but to allow God to do what only God can do and to press into that place. If we could stand to our feet, guys, if you want to find a spot or come to the altar, if you want to find a spot to be real with God and maybe confess some sin, maybe repent and acknowledge where you've been falling short, whether if it's because you've been lazy in your prayer life or whether it's because you're struggling with a habit or a behavior or an addiction or something that's pulling you back, or maybe you have anger, or maybe you have lust, or maybe there's something else that's going on that's holding you back from God. Take that thing and lay it down at the feet, lay it down at the altar, and let God take that thing from you and let God fill you with his peace. It only comes through acknowledging that he is the Lord, that he is fully God, that he had died on the cross for your sins and he rose from the grave. If you put your faith in that, if you give Jesus a chance, I'm telling you, he's gonna meet you where you're at. He's gonna bring his peace and he will fill you with fire and with a purpose. So much so that when you encounter a hard thing, when you encounter a trial, you're gonna be like, yes, God. Yes, God. I had a friend I was talking to and he was like, how do you feel when you feel conviction? How does conviction make you feel? And with tears streaming down his face, he said, it makes me feel so good. I love it when I feel conviction because I know that God is close to me and he's correcting something. It means God is calling me to a place of intimacy. If you don't feel convicted for anything, maybe you should be asking God, what do I need to be convicted about? What do I need to change about myself so that I can be closer to you? Conviction is a call to intimacy. When was the last time you did something and you're like, that was wrong? And you didn't shy away, you didn't bury it down, but you said, that was wrong. I need to repent. I need to make a change inside of my heart. When was the last time you felt convicted about something? It's a good thing. Press into that feeling. Let the Spirit do what only he can do. Confess your sins. He is good and faithful to forgive you your sins.